Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Eric Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She is all the way from Pittsburgh, PA. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
What's going on? Not a whole lot. Been pretty quiet over here, which can't complain about. So
Everything gets quiet when the weather gets warmer.
yeah, I mean if you want to call it warmer. I mean it's been pretty comfortable around here. I don't feel like I'm like
Yeah,
dying of hypothermia, but still not still not ready for that like hot weather though. That's
not yet, not yet.
the thing.
Yeah, well, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to have you. Welcome to the Ringside Rundown podcast. It's a podcast about pro wrestling. Shay and I are going to talk some pro wrestling and we're going to answer your questions. But this weekend, we have a huge weekend because this Saturday is the Elimination Chamber from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the Rogers Center. So this is going to be a big deal because that's where the Blue Jays play baseball. So that's a lot of real estate they're going to fill in with a lot of people there.
Yeah, that place on in pictures looks absolutely massive, so I can only imagine how even more massive it's going to look like when you put a wrestling pay-per-view there. So it's going to be a wild crowd, I have a feeling.
Did you know that there is a hotel built outside of like the outfield where you can actually watch games from your hotel window?
Jeez, and I'm sure that's not cheap at all because
Yeah, definitely not
why
cheap at
wouldn't it
all.
be? But I mean, that's pretty convenient. You don't have to go anywhere.
It really is. It really is. But I think people are really excited about this PLE. More so because it's on the road to WrestleMania. A lot of the matches are big time matches, and WWE, as we always talk about, their content right now, their programming is on a hot streak in terms of people are really. I think people are really enjoying it and enjoying the shift, and I think that's why people are really anticipating the Elimination Chamber. There aren't a lot of matches on the card, but I don't think that hinders the event at all. I think we're kind of used to the fact that they have a short number of matches on the card, and it really doesn't affect the quality of the show at all.
No, I don't think so either. And I think this WrestleMania season is a little different than last year's because I feel like last year's you kind of had a pretty good idea of where they were going, what their like plan was for a lot of people involved, but this year it's like we have no fucking idea what's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
the build up for most of these are so unpredictable. No one knows what's going on with a lot of these storylines and these matches, and it's kind of a good thing, I think. Keep people on their toes. I mean, granted, like last year was the exception where it wasn't like, oh well, we already know where this is going. I mean, and that's gonna like lessen the excitement of the show. It was such a big deal that you knew it was coming, but it was just so spectacular and grand, and the whole Kelly Cody finishing the story thing was such just a big deal in and of
Right.
itself that people knew it was possibly coming, but there was still just that chance of, is it going to actually happen? But
Yeah.
this time it's just like no one knows what the hell's going on. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, and like I said, you like to be kept on your toes a little bit because you never know what they might do. It might change in a week. It might change tomorrow for all we know, but that's just the fun of the road to WrestleMania sometimes is that it's not entirely a straight road to
Yeah.
Vegas.
That's a great way to put it. I'm definitely locked in. I feel different than most of the wrestling fan base. The wrestling fan base is trying to be over analytical, trying to dissect everything, trying to break everything down, and I'm just kind of sitting here enjoying the ride. Before we get into the Elimination Chamber predictions, I just really got to touch on last night's, and for those that are listening, we're recording this on a Tuesday night. Last night I'm referring to Monday Night Raw. I don't know if you got a chance to watch Raw last night, but the
Um,
main event,
yes,
the
yes,
tag match, what a fucking barn burner of a tag team match that was. I mean, we by close to the end of it when they started doing all those near falls at the end,
yeah,
I was biting on every single one of them, just losing my absolute mind
yeah,
watching this match. It was incredible.
yeah. I completely agree. It was one of those where it's like, is this going to be the ending? Nope. Okay, is this going to be the ending? Nope. No, that's not it either. It's just like, damn, and yeah, and when they can get you, and you're like, God damn it, I bid on every single one of those. You know it's a good match, and
For sure.
It was. I think there might be a question about it later, so I won't get too much into it. But I'm a little shocked at the ending. Not gonna lie, but I think it was also more or less because of what didn't happen, as
Right,
opposed to what actually did, as opposed to what could have.
right.
But again, we'll get to that one later. We'll save
I
it. But it was a
I
that was a great match.
Yeah, I loved it for the fact that it kinda made me feel like a wrestling fan more so than someone that was kinda sitting there and analyzing the match on stream because I was just sitting there going, "Oh, oh, oh," and then they're breaking up the pinfalls, and I find myself rooting for Naomi and Bianca because I didn't
Yeah.
want the Judgment Day to win the tag team titles, and I'm, like, getting pissed off at Dirty Dom, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, "You son of a bitch, da 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 da," and the referee was clearly right there watching.
Oh, that made him look so stupid. I
I
don't think
just
we have to talk about that at least real quick because I don't think anybody asked about it. But that ref looks so stupid in that last like because you saw him look right
right,
at Dom. So it's just like those are those moments where it's like, guys, come on, you got to be better than that because now you look like a complete incompetent fool.
right,
Because
I
anybody
would've
with
much
eyes,
rather yeah, I would've much rather if he saw it, kick him out of the match,
yeah,
you know?
like you can call an audible. It's not going to hurt you. Like, I just didn't. I
But
don't
still,
know.
it was a phenomenal match, probably the best, match I've seen for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, probably the best Raquel Rodriguez match, I've seen her involved in because she was just hitting all the spots, breaking up all the pinfalls, and I'm just going, "Wow, this is a match. These ladies are working."
Yeah, it was good, and like it gets me at the end because, like you said, you're just like, I don't want those two to win because
Yeah.
why would we? And then they do, and it's like, ah, damn it, like,
Yeah.
whatever. But he did their
Yeah.
job.
It did, it did. Well, let's get right into it, into the Elimination Chamber predictions. Like I said, there's really only 4 matches to go off the card that are advertised at this moment. Shay and I are gonna have a little fun with it and have a little competition between her and myself to see who can, go 4-0, I guess you could say, for the
Yeah,
Elimination Chamber PLE. It's gonna be a good one. Once again, it starts at 7 p.m. and that's when the main show starts, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you that are in the United States, you can check it out on Peacock. If you're international, it'll be available on Netflix. The Elimination Chamber match, everybody knows what it is. It's a giant dome made up of steel chains, 4 pods on the outside. 2 men start the match, and it's elimination style. So if you get pinned to the count of 3 or you submit or you get knocked out, I guess, you're
yeah,
eliminated from the match and it leaves only one man standing. Now, the prize for winning this match, because there is a prize, means you go on to WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. So there is a lot riding on this. It's not just to win the match, it's also for an opportunity to main event WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. And starting off with the men's elimination chamber match, we have John Cena, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and CM Punk. Flat
ugh.
out, flat out, who do you think is going to take this one?
John Cena.
Ooh.
I think they're just gonna go for it because I don't know what other alternative he'd have at this point.
Mm,
Whether he wins the title or not remains to be seen. I'm not entirely sure he would, but I think you kind of have to have that little like passing of the torch moment at WrestleMania with him, and
mhm.
it just makes sense. I think. I mean, but the worst part is, or I mean, honestly, I think the good part of it is that you could really look at, for the most part, most of the people in this chamber, with the side of one in particular for sure, and then maybe another one, and you could look at maybe well, you can look at McIntyre, you can look at Rollins, you can look at Punk, you can look at Cena, and those four, it's like, yeah, you could see them winning and they have like a legit like reason. There's no like,
Right.
oh, well, if they win, that's like bullshit. If Logan Paul wins, that would be bullshit. I don't think Damien's in like that kind of storyline right now, and it wouldn't really
Right.
make a whole lot of sense for him to win. But the other four, it's like you could toss that up between the four of them, but
Yeah.
and you couldn't go wrong with any of them really, but I feel like just this time they got to go with Cena. You can't have him cut the kind of promo he cut in that press interview after the Rumble and would just all the conviction in the world. You couldn't help but believe him when he's like, I'm going to the Elimination Chamber, I'm winning that match, and I'm gonna win the title at WrestleMania. And you kind of couldn't help but believe him a little bit. He just was that damn convincing. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Cena.
All right. Well, this is to be the we're starting off already on the wrong foot. You and I
Right.
on opposite ends. I'm going to go with Cena's longtime rival, his nemesis. I'm going to go with CM Punk. That is
That'd be a good one
my
though.
yeah, that is my heart pick. That is not
Yeah.
my uh putting all the money on CM Punk. I don't really know if I had to put money on it who I would pick. I'm
Yeah.
going with CM Punk because I really want to see something come from that story that Punk and Cody were telling on Raw about 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
you know, that we've been talking about it, that point where Cody's kind of was in a delusional state, and I feel like the Cody that we saw on Raw is kind of the after effects of that. It's kind of like what's the when you've been sick with the flu for 2 weeks
You're in that
and
haze.
yeah, you're in that haze where you're no longer you don't have the flu, but you're not 100%. It
Yeah.
almost feels like a despondent
You're going through the
sort.
motions.
Right. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like watching Raw
Yeah.
and watching Cody interact with Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins brought up a lot of good points
You did.
on Monday Night Raw, where he said, "Is the burden of being the undisputed champion too much for you? Because if it is, I will gladly take that off of your
Yeah.
shoulders as any other man in the chamber would." And I feel like everybody's starting to play that card with Cody, like, hey, are you really in this? Because it doesn't
Hmm.
seem like you're really in this. But I feel like CM Punk had the strongest case for that. So that's why my heart pick is going for CM Punk.
All right. I mean, we had to end up like differing somehow because how else are we gonna have a definitive winner in this card? So
For real,
he
for
would have probably been my number two pick, but I don't know. I
real.
just can't help but think that they're gonna go with it with Cena.
I think you might be right. You might be right. But moving on to the ladies elimination chamber, this one's equally going to be as good because much like the men, it seems like a lot of the women in this one have a legitimate claim to be the ones to win this darn thing, and there are some heavy hitters in there. We have Bailey in there, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and also the newcomer for her very first premium live event match. It's Roxanne Perez, the two-time NXT champion, NXT Women's Champion, in her first PLE match. Oh, it's just the Elimination Chamber, which is
Yeah.
really painful and it hurts.
Yeah. No big deal. No pressure.
No big deal. But this one this one's a little bit more difficult to predict for me. It's kind of
Yeah.
nobody's like got a big giant neon sign that's flashing in my face saying that they have a legitimate claim to be the winner of this one. I think it is interesting because if like we talked about Monday Night Raw, Liv Morgan is the new one half of the new women's tag team champions. The former tag team champions are in the match together, but now they don't really necessarily have to work as a team. There's nothing
Yeah.
linking them together. So who's to say that, you know, they won't come to blows? Not only that, maybe we'll see something involving Jade Cargill. I don't know.
Maybe. I
Is
mean,
it possible?
because we didn't get it on Raw, and I think that's where everybody was
Yeah.
expecting her to show up.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions about that after Raw went off the air on stream. People were coming to chat, kind of just trying to make sense of everything and trying to make sense of the whole Jade Cargill situation.
Yeah. My problem with the women's chamber is that I feel like, and I think this is kind of the general consensus of wrestling fans, and as much as I'd like to disagree with them, I don't I don't always like going with the popular choice. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, even though I just picked Cena, but I feel like I think everybody wanted Io Sky and Rhea at WrestleMania. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
like the fact that we're getting this on a Raw is just criminal at this point.
Hmm.
I'm not sure why they're not putting this on the WrestleMania card. I know I think we have a question about it, so obviously I won't go too far into it, but it kind of makes you look at the card and just go, which one of you was like the it's almost like second best option because the worst part is I feel like if you put any one of these women up against Rhea, and then they're like, okay, well, you either get this or Rhea versus Io. Everybody, a good portion of people are going to pick Rhea and Io every time.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's kind of just like who gets the second best option, I guess, which is sad that you have to think that way, but it's kind of just how they've done this.
Mhm.
I still just don't understand it, but it's tough. I mean,
Yeah, it really is. I don't see
I don't
because
see.
you have to think who would have kinda a beef with the champion because similar to the men's elimination chamber, the caveat for this one is if you win, like you said, you face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania for the Women's World Championship, but like the men, they kinda all have a beef with the champion that they would face. These women
The, the
except
only
for Liv Morgan, but
we're not doing that.
nobody
No.
wants to see another Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley match. Nobody wants to see that. I'm sorry. I mean,
No.
I have no problem with the storyline itself, not like most people, but even I am
A
like,
little tired.
yeah, we need to back away from that just a little bit. I think the only one I can really see is Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I think this is the one we can agree on because I feel like star power wise you could go Bianca, but I just think and I mean history, so it's not like it wouldn't be something that doesn't make sense, but the problem is that we don't know what's going on with Jade, so it's kind of like would they have Bianca win the chamber and then if Jade's coming back and threatening one of them because it's either Naomi or Bianca that did the whole thing. Like
Right.
literally the only two that make sense. Obviously, I still think Naomi makes the most sense out of all of it, but wouldn't you it would be very like naive to think that she wouldn't be involved in that somehow unless like Jade comes back says that it was Naomi because again, I think that's the most obvious like choice. And then if Bianca does win the chamber and then they're trying to like oh well you have to take my side, you have to take my side, and she's like I have more important shit to deal with than this petty little fight you two have, but they put so much stock into those three that it's like you don't want you don't want to put the other feud on the back burner to focus on Bianca and possibly Rhea, but it's just like this is my problem when you don't have Io in this match. Who the fuck did you pick? And it's just like, yeah, this is a good second place, I guess. And I
Yeah.
guess the only one I would have to agree with you. I think like the only one that seems the most interesting to me, at least, is Alexa Bliss. Is it going to
Yeah.
happen? Who knows? But out of just the whole like, and it's tough because I feel like intriguing wise it's Alexa, but I feel like popularity and star power wise it would be Bianca. But I just think that she's going to have something going on with Jade and Naomi. So
Right.
I don't know.
I
I'll give it to Alexa.
I think what's gonna happen is, like you said, you think Naomi is the one that attacked Jade.
Yes.
After analyzing it a little bit more, for me, Naomi seems just too good. Like she seems too pure hearted to
Uh,
like. I don't see an evil streak in Naomi to do that. I do see it in
she's
Bianca though.
hey, I mean, she's been team bad before. She can be bad when
She,
she wants to
I
be,
mean,
but the,
I mean,
the problem
were you that convinced?
well, I mean, back in the day, no. I mean, I wasn't paying attention. Let's be honest, I wasn't paying attention to them. But my thing, but the thing is that she has the most justification for doing that to Jade or
She
Bianca
does. She does. You're
because
right about that.
I don't want to be the third wheel. I'm tired of
Right.
always being the third wheel with everybody and not even just Jade and Bianca. It's everybody. She has always
Mhm.
been and it's a shame. Has always been overshadowed with whatever team or whatever she's in. So
Right.
maybe she's just like, "Oh, maybe this will be different. Maybe they'll in her mind, maybe they'll hype me up. They'll treat me as their equal." And they did, but in her fractured mind or in her twisted sense of self-righteousness, you guys didn't do enough and no one gave a
Mhm.
shit about me. All they cared about were you, and I wanted to be a champion again. I wanted those titles, so I took Jade out and I got the title.
Yeah. This is the way I see it going down. Let's go with your theory of Naomi being the one that attacked Jade. I see things breaking down at the elimination chamber, and when Bianca least expects it, Naomi's going to hit her and
Yeah.
eliminate her from the chamber,
Mhm.
causing this rift, but nothing can happen because you can't retaliate there. You're eliminated from the match. So you have to wait till Monday.
Yeah.
Come Monday, Bianca's gonna want answers. Naomi's gonna attack her from behind. She's beating her down, and who comes makes the save? But Jade Cargill. Jade
Yeah.
Cargill comes and makes the save. Everybody thinks her and Bianca are cool, but in reality, her and Bianca are not cool because to Jade, Jade's like, well, I got attacked, and the person that attacked me, you were quick to replace them on our tag
Yeah.
team and give them my tag title championship right then and
Yeah.
there, which could possibly set up a triple threat situation at WrestleMania. How about that?
I would be fully okay with that. That would be honestly, that'd be the best case scenario, I think, is if you can get all 3 of them involved, because then I feel like if you don't get all 3 of them involved, you kinda prove my point of someone's gonna get put to the back burner because, "Oh, well, this feud out of these 2 out of the 3 have the better chance of having a WrestleMania match," where it's like, in reality, all 3 of them can. It's like, it's not impossible to put them in a triple threat.
Mhm.
It's just funny to me because watch SmackDown come around on Friday and something completely, like, happens and we're just like, "Well, never mind, there goes our entire, like, theory that you had going into this show," but, who knows? It could completely change, or it might be something might happen and we'll be like, "You know what? Eric might be onto something," so
Who knows?
I
Who
guess I'll have to
knows?
especially have to wait for the chamber to see, especially, but I think I don't know. Like I said, if it's not EO, I think it's just, I guess, Alexa.
Alexa. Okay. So we're both down for Alexa. And gonna make a notation because I'm old now, so I don't want to forget. So I'm making a
Gotta write it
notation
down.
of that. Yeah, I gotta write it down. Sorry, folks. This is what happens when you run the show, writing it down so we don't forget. Because we're gonna have a little competition, Shay and I. So we're gonna move on to the next match. It's a tag team match, kind of like I would consider this like a special attraction match. It's
Yeah.
Tiffany Stratton, the women's champion, teaming up with Hall of Famer Trish Stratus, obviously from Toronto, so she's got to be there. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus are teaming up to take on Nia Jax and her little sidekick Candice LeRae. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is kind of cut and dry. I feel
Yeah.
like the good guys are gonna win. Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. I don't think they're gonna have Trish lose in Toronto. But
Yeah.
maybe Trish wants to get involved for longer than the Elimination Chamber.
Sorry about that, you just cut out there for a minute, try that again.
No, I was gonna say that
Technology.
maybe this is a sign that Trish Stratus wants to stick around for longer than just the Elimination Chamber.
I mean, possibly. Sorry about that, technology is a fun thing sometimes. Yeah, I mean, she might. I feel like maybe, but are they gonna keep her around with Nia and Candace, and are they gonna involve Tiffany in it? I mean, obviously Tiffany has other more important things to deal with when it comes closer to WrestleMania.
Right.
So who's to say? But as far as the match goes, it's like that's not even like anybody who's picking Nia and Candace are just fooling themselves because why would you have Trish Stratus lose in her hometown? Like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. This one was pretty easy to figure out. We're both going with Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. Now, here's the match that I'm looking forward to, probably the most out of all the matches on the card.
Hmm.
It is an unsanctioned match. That means it's not even going to go on the record books for WWE. They want no part of the match. They want no liability. So if something crazy happens in the match, hey, they wash their hands clean. It's all on the competitors. I'm talking about former friends, then best friends, then former friends, then best friends, then former friends now. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They've been doing this for the better part of 20 years, whether they've been teaming together or they've been going at each other's throats. I feel, and I feel like we talked about this briefly on the last episode. This could be Triple H's vision, the same vision he had for like a Gargano Champa situation in NXT. This
Yes.
could be his Gargano Champa situation on the main roster. And we can finally, because we've always been wanting that blood feud sort of vibe from Kevin and Sammy, and we've gotten glimpses of it, but we never got the we know these guys can tear each other apart and sick there's something
Hmm.
sick with wrestling fans that we want to tune in and see that.
Yeah, it's gonna be carnage, and that's putting it mildly, because it's just, oh god, it's gonna be a car crash. Yeah, I honestly agree with you that this is definitely the match I'm looking forward to the most, because I mean, they've done a great job like building this up, and I mean, let's be fair, it doesn't really take much. It's Kevin and Sammy, like
True, very
it's
true.
one of those, like, I feel like we kind of brought this up last week. It's almost like Batman and Joker. They're like destined to do this for forever. That's
Yeah,
just
very
how they
much so.
are. It's just the chemistry between them is insane, not even just on the mic, in the ring, obviously. And yeah, this has to be, this is like, Triple H was probably foaming at the mouth when he like knew that this was going to be like a possibility, because this really does kind of have that feel of like Black and Gold NXT Ciampa and Gargano, like, and he doesn't have to worry about anyone sticking their fingers in, hopefully, anyway. But yeah, as far as the match goes, though, this is mm,
I
we're
think I'm going with KO. I think
yeah,
KO has to get his wins back.
I think he has to, yeah, because I feel like Sammy winning just, well, and it also gives Kevin, if it's unsanctioned, gives him the power to do pretty much whatever the hell he wants.
Which is a
So
scary thing.
yeah, he'll beat Sammy with, I mean, they're
Mhm.
both gonna beat each other within an inch of their life just because they can, but this just also kinda gives Kevin free rein to cheat and do whatever he wants. And it'd be kinda silly to, have him go through all of this and, "Oh, well, maybe this is finally where things turn around," just for him to lose again just because he hasn't learned his lesson. It's
Right.
not time for that yet. I feel like I love how out of 4 matches, we got 3 out of 4 the same, because it has to be Kevin. I love Sammy,
Yeah.
but that's just, it's not happening.
I'm going with Kevin strictly on the fact that he needs to get his wins back.
Yes.
He lost the title match and
Yep.
lost the match at Saturday night's main event. Then he lost at Royal Rumble. So he's got to get some wins back, or else it's in trouble in the perception of KO. So it's very interesting as far as the matches go. For the men's elimination chamber, you have John Cena, I have CM Punk. For the women's elimination chamber, we're both picking Alexa Bliss. For Trish
Mhm.
Stratus, Tiffany Stratton versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax, we're both going with Trish and Tiffany. And we are both going with Kevin Owens when he takes on Sami Zayn in the unsanctioned match. So, like you said, 3 out of the 4 matches, we're pretty much in lockstep. So it's going to be interesting how this breaks down. This kind of, what was it? Last time it was like what, one match kind of separated us. The last time we did
Uh,
this little game of ours where we do the predictions. I think it was
'Cause
like
yeah, because did we do we I'm trying to remember what we did with the Rumble.
no, it was a matter of fact, that was the pay-per-view where you almost correctly predicted everything on the card. I think
Yeah.
there was one match you didn't get, but you wiped the floor with me the last time we did this predictions competition.
You were mad.
Um
You were mad because I'm trying to remember what match it was, but I'm like, this match, this is the way this is gonna end, is because someone's gonna interfere and whatever, and I
yeah,
fully called it,
yeah.
and you're like, I hate you right now. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So I hope I hope I can redeem myself with the elimination chamber, but it's still the matches are looking like it's going to be a good time. There's also a segment on the show that I want to talk about. I'm sure we have a question about. Well, I don't want to talk about it now. I'll talk about it when we get the question. But we're also going to see The Rock is in attendance, and he wants an answer from Cody Rhodes. Will Cody Rhodes be The Rock's champion? Which is incognito way to say, will you sell your soul to me? This is for me very reminiscent of like when Vince McMahon wanted The Rock to be his corporate champion. So I feel
Yeah.
like they're bringing that back for like the new age fans. They're doing that a lot in WWE. They're
Yeah.
kind of rehashing and revamping old storylines for a new generation of fans, which to me is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
as like an older wrestling fan who's seen it all. to see them, especially they take a lot of stories that are directly from Triple H's career, directly from Shawn Michaels's career, and they kind of incorporate them into storylines. And it's like that's kind of cool how everything is a full circle moment in professional wrestling.
Yeah, it's nice to get these callbacks because, like you said, the fans that know where these little hints and Easter eggs come from, you're like, you're like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Like, you just like pointed at the
Yeah,
TV screen. You're like, I know where that's from. I know what that
exactly.
is. That's
The
it.
Yeah, the Jade Cargill Who Attacked Jade Cargill story is directly out of Who Attacked Shawn Michaels, and we come to
Yep.
find out it was Triple H who
Hmm.
attacked Shawn Michaels. And like I remember that. I have a horrible wrestling memory, but
Yeah.
I remember distinctly that happening because they tried to mask it as a DX reunion, and the whole time I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And then when Shawn Michaels revealed that grainy camera footage,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Who attacked Shawn Michaels?" and he goes, "It was you, Hunter." I still remember sitting in my bedroom watching that on recorded VHS because I couldn't watch live because I had school, so I had to
Yeah.
record it. I had to record it on the VCR and watch
Hmm.
it when I came home. And I remember sitting in my room watching that on VHS, going, "Oh my god, I knew it!"
Yeah.
So it's this is a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah. Right. It's a vindication.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. So we have a ton of questions from people that want to get our thoughts on everything that's happening in pro wrestling, both WWE and AEW. So why don't we get right into it? Let's get into the questions.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. So we're just gonna go in the order that they're shown because why not? So we're going to start with mom's questions. And her first one is, what are our thoughts on Hook signing with Barry Bloom? Which I was told
Mm,
is a very big deal, apparently.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
who the guy is. So I'm just like,
yeah,
ugh.
yeah. I don't know either. I don't know either, but I feel like he has a lot of high powered clients and everything like that. The
Let's look
way
it up
I
right now.
the while you're looking it up, I'll give my uh thoughts, I guess, on the whole him signing with Barry Bloom. I think if this is for negotiation purposes, it could be strictly money. And if it's strictly money, then Tony Khan has no problem giving whatever he sees is fit to retain Hook in AEW. But the thing that Tony does not have that WWE has is everything else besides just money out the gate.
Hmm.
Um, Tony Khan has an unlimited bank account. You know,
Yeah.
his dad is one of the richest men in the entire world, so he has an unlimited bank account. But he does not have the programming space to make sure that Hook is a regular on TV. They
Yeah.
have no touring schedule, so Hook doesn't wrestle regularly. The only
No.
time Hook can wrestle is either on Wednesdays or Saturdays or for Ring of Honor tapings, if that ever was to come about. So they
Yeah.
don't tour, so he doesn't gain the experience that anybody else going into the Performance Center or WWE does. Um, and not only that, I mean, I always maintain that Hook has that ability that if he was to get some seasoning on his promo abilities and his acting ability, that in 10 to 15 years, just based off of his look alone, he could transition into Hollywood and use WWE as a stepping stone to get into Hollywood. He has that, movie star good look, and he
Yeah.
has that swagger. He just needs a little bit of fine tuning on the promos and a little bit of fine tuning on the acting, and he'd be good. WWE can offer all of that to him.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can offer all of that to him. Not only that, but their merchandise guarantees would be even better for him because they have live events that they sell merchandise at, which
Hmm.
means more opportunities to make money because your merchandise, if you have merchandise through AEW, it's only being sold online
Yeah.
or Wednesdays for Dynamite and Saturdays for Collision.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, WWE is touring around the country, around the world, and especially they're international. You know,
Mhm.
their international merchandise revenue becomes in the millions. You know,
Yeah.
these are all things that WWE can offer Hook if he chooses to go to WWE. Tony Khan can offer him
Money.
what money and the fact that he'll be able to see his dad at work.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So apparently this guy on at least on Reddit, to take it with a grain of salt, was getting compared as like the Scott Boris of wrestling,
Wow.
which that's not really a great comparison, but they did say that most people that are represented by him re-signed with AEW, so there's that. So take that
Okay.
with a grain of salt.
Well, like I said, it's different because if you tell WWE Hook his contract is coming up and he has interest in joining the WWE, they're gonna bite on it.
Yeah.
At, there, Hook is not a guy you don't bite on. Hook is not
Mm,
like a Matt Menard. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Hook is not on that level. Hook is like I said, in 10 to 15 years with consistent work, Hook can be a bona fide star in wrestling. I
Yeah.
honestly think so. He has the look for it. He has that swagger where he comes out to the ring and instantly you're like, "Who is this guy?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and
He's
and,
got the
and you
got
know,
the charisma.
he's got the charisma. I mean, they got him in a good thing with Samoa Joe and Shibata. I'm into that. But again, it's all about getting yourself out there, and he would have a hard time getting himself out there strictly working on Wednesdays and Saturdays where he could be working maybe on Raw, maybe on SmackDown in front of 10 to 12,000 people, and then, a couple days during the week when they're on the road doing these live tour events, he's getting more experience in the ring and learning how to hone his craft. That's something that only WWE can offer right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
pretty
got to be
much.
we got to be realistic about that. I know the whole thing is we want to hate on either AEW or we want to hate on WWE, but let's be realistic. Only one company can really offer those type of things right
Yeah, exactly. And I think some people are just putting a little too much stock into AEW and giving them a little too much faith because
now.
one thing they also don't have is a performance center.
They
So
don't. They don't. And I got laughed at when I was like, when I said on Twitter, you don't understand how vital the performance center is
yeah,
as
ask
one of
Camille
the
how that was going to work out for her, huh?
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
understand how vital it is as one of the best training facilities in all of pro wrestling. And I got laughed at, and that's basically what it is. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
lying.
you told you so. Again, like I bet you if you go back and ask Camille if she'd go back, do you wonder if she's going to do it now? Because where is
Y-
she?
Yeah, what is
Exactly.
Camille doing? What is Camille doing right now?
Sitting at home. Anyway, again, we're not gonna go on that can of worms again. So we did touch on this a little bit. Not sure why Jay didn't show up last night. It was right there. Seems like AEW booking. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say AEW booking. I just think that they're kind of maybe just doing a thing of subverting the expectations a little bit, where
Right.
it's Cincinnati, it's her husband's like it's like where they I don't know, like that's his I don't know if he's from Cincinnati though, but I mean
I know
granted
he played for the Reds.
yeah, he played for the trust me, as a Pirates fan, I know. I know
Yeah,
he did.
yeah. He
But
killed you guys, didn't he?
yeah, I mean pretty much every other team killed us, but that's neither here nor there. But so it's like that could have been a big like maybe that was like the connection people were making and oh she has to come back now. It's the main I mean it was also the main event too, so you're like okay, something's got to happen. Something big's got to happen. And then it doesn't. But it might be a little bit of a bigger deal if it happens at the chamber maybe. Something might happen on SmackDown Friday that we don't know yet. It's just kind of just leaves you wanting more, which is good because then it makes you tune in where it's like if you want to see if she shows up, you either have to watch SmackDown or you have to pay for the pay-per-views. So if it starts to go like weeks, that's a little different, but I don't
Right.
think it will. I feel like something has to happen Friday or Saturday. It's just a matter of which day. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I'm sitting there, and we always know not to really trust the whole word mark thing. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, music's gonna hit, whatever, it's fine. And then the screen goes black, and it just sits there for a little bit, and we're like, that's it. Was that literally all that was? Like, It was just so weird because like like we said, the match was great. It was
Right.
fantastic. But you were also just expecting that little thing at the end too, just to like take it over the edge and then it doesn't happen. So it's like, all right,
Right.
well then maybe SmackDown, maybe the Chamber, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think it's Triple H, man. He just likes to do that thing where you're like, we're like, ah, and
Yeah.
he's like, nope, 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 now,
He's like that he's like how what commercial was it with the dollar? It's a dollar on
Yeah,
the string and
yeah,
he's like on the
yeah,
fishing hook. Yeah.
yeah. You got to be quicker than
And
that.
then
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
almost had
exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly. That's Triple H, where you're like, I think what it is like we expect things because for the longest time, WWE was following a format that was very predictable, right? So
Yes.
you kind of knew when things were going to pop off, you knew when things were going to blow over. And I think what it is that now that we have that unpredictability, there are certain people that get very mad when they
Yes.
can't pinpoint exactly what is going to be happening.
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that we can't really we're in the dark with everything, and we're so used to being able to figure this out, and we live in an era now where on the internet it's all about, look at me, I'm smarter than everybody, I know everything that
Yeah.
nobody else knows. When you can't do that, for some people it's very frustrating because then you can't
Yeah.
get your tweet offs, and then you can't get that validation and that attention that you seek and that engagement. So me, I'm kind of like a psychopath. I think it's hilarious watching people just break down and
Self-destruct.
yeah, literally just have meltdowns and go on these long tangents about trying to figure everything out. And I'm sitting back going, I'm just enjoying what's going on right now. I'm having fun with it. So,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is these days.
Just enjoy some things, guys. It's not gonna hurt you. Or
Exactly.
maybe it will, clearly. I mean, I guess it just depends on who you are, I guess. Alrighty, so do we think Mal I feel like we're gonna keep like wondering this until it actually happens. Do we think Malachi shows up at the chamber this weekend?
No, no, no.
I don't think so.
I think that when he does, it's similar to their method with now Ricky Saints.
Just
They
no
were everybody's wondering, why is he on NXT? Why isn't he on Raw or SmackDown or anything like that? And that's because
yeah.
from what I read, the summary is they didn't want to bring him up to the main roster so close to WrestleMania and not have him do anything. They didn't have a spot for him on the WrestleMania.
Yeah.
NXT, people have to get it out of their head that NXT is sort of a minor league or a demotion
It's
or
not.
developmental in the sense that these are for people that are not ready on the main roster. It's not like that anymore.
No.
This is literally a third option for Raw or SmackDown. We can't fit them on Raw or SmackDown. Let's see what they can do in NXT with the younger talent. Yes, a heavy crop of NXT is the younger, inexperienced talent that are learning the craft as they go along. But these are people, you got to understand, WWE is a machine. So
Yeah.
even the people are on NXT right now on NXT TV, you can pluck them, like you can pluck a Jada Parker or a
Mhm.
Kalani Jordan or
Sol Ruca. Yeah.
Sol
Yeah.
Ruka. You could take them, put them on Raw or SmackDown, and they probably excel. You could take a Stephanie Vaquer or a Julia, put them on Raw or
Yep.
SmackDown, and they probably excel.
Cora
That is
Jade.
the Yeah, Cora Jade too. That is the machine that is the WWE, where in our minds we think they're not ready because they're in NXT, but
Yeah.
really it's just the third option. It's no longer the minor league. It is now the third option. Which is why you see Ricky Saints on there and he's gonna kill it in NXT. But I
Well,
think,
look at Ethan Page too. Like,
yeah,
guy's been in
Ethan,
the business for decades at this point.
yeah, and this is the best work he's done in his entire career,
Yeah.
and he's been in NXT for a little under 6 months.
It doesn't feel
You
like
know,
that. It really doesn't. But
it doesn't. He won the title 40 days after his debut. That's
hmm
the craziest thing, but it's the same thing. I think I don't think that that Malachi would be showing up back in NXT. I think when he does return, it's for main roster because I think his creativity and the plans that they would have for him would be too grandiose. So
yeah.
You need a stage like Raw or SmackDown to make it happen. I just think they need that calendar to flip over, and after WrestleMania is when the wrestling calendar kind of flips over and everything starts anew. So they want that fresh, clean slate.
Yeah, I agree. You kind of, it's all about timing. I don't think it's
Yeah,
the right time yet.
right.
And last comment is some of the decisions in WWE make me think, mom, think that Triple H isn't as involved in decisions anymore. I feel
Mm,
like, I feel like that's kind of coming from that rumor going about that the women in the division were upset because they weren't getting booked properly and whatever. And it's so tough for me because there are people that are definitely like turning on him when it comes to certain things. Like, oh, I don't
right.
know, maybe Dakota losing the title, like her title match again. I'm just used to it at this point. It's like I saw the best way I saw it was someone had like a it was like a meme where it was like 1% chance, 99% faith, and that was pretty much it. Where I'm like, is it happening? No. Am I gonna still be mad when it doesn't happen? Also, yes. But and I
It was
was.
a great match, though. It was a
It's a great
great
match.
match.
They got good chemistry.
They really do. I mean, I know it wasn't the outcome that you wanted, but Lyra
No.
Valkyria is seriously, seriously underrated.
Yeah.
That girl can work. I've seen a lot of wrestling in my life. That girl can work in the ring, and the way she like the perfect example, that superplex that she
Yes.
did off the second rope. Lyra
Oof.
looked like it hurt Lyra just as much, if not more,
Yeah.
taking that move than it did Dakota. I think she's fantastic. The ladies last night on Raw just killed it, from the tag team match to Lyra Dakota. They were just on fire, and now it kind of was a seamless transition. Now we're gonna make Ivy Nile important, which I think is cool. That we get
Yeah.
some fresh
Yeah.
faces, somebody that's not usually in that spot to get that opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I find it very I don't know, maybe I'm guessing like maybe the black and gold NXT bias is kind of like clouding my judgment maybe or maybe you'll agree with me, who knows. I find it very hard to believe that Triple H doesn't know how to book the women's division when he literally like established the women's division in NXT back in the
Right.
day with a good portion of the women that he has on the roster at this current moment. So it's a little tough, but also at the same time, he didn't have nearly half the roster that he did in NXT. Like,
That's the thing. That's the thing a lot of people don't understand, is that he's got the roster of Raw and SmackDown,
yeah,
which is triple the size of the roster that he had in NXT. Not only that, I think much like it was back in the day, except it's the only thing that's different is that they trust him a little bit more. Back in the day when Vince McMahon was in charge, he didn't give a shit about NXT, and that's why NXT was successful, because
yeah,
Triple H could do whatever the hell he wants. I don't think the board TKO
yeah,
cares about NXT, but they trust Triple H, or they trust Shawn Michaels rather. They
yeah,
trust Shawn Michaels to deliver a good product, so they're like, we don't even have to worry about that. That is how you have to look at the WWE as a corporate structure. Um,
yeah.
we may look at Triple H and say, "Oh, this is all Triple H." It's not
No,
what I
I'm,
want. It's not what I want, so it's his fault.
yeah,
But really, he's just the chief content officer. He's
yeah,
the guy that makes the pieces work. But if the board comes down and says, we did a case study, and it shows that our main demographic is really starting to root for wrestler A that
yeah,
hasn't got a lot more screen time, so we need to put more screen time on wrestler A, make that happen. He's got to be like, "Well, okay, I guess I got to
yeah.
make wrestler A a thing."
He's
You
not in
know,
charge anymore. Like
yeah,
when Vince
y-
was around, was the end all say all. That's not the
yeah,
case anymore.
yeah. This is now he answers to shareholders, board
Yeah.
members. He answers to The Rock, and The Rock's over here thinking he's Shang Tsung and taking people's souls, and
Eh,
it's what do you want from Triple H? What do you want? He's
yeah,
he's
they
got The Rock taking people's souls here. Come on now.
yeah, it's like the guy can only do so much, but I think a lot of people that's lost on quite a few people clearly, but It's like, guys, you gotta give him a break.
Poor
But
guy's got a pacemaker, and you want him to just
literally, like, even if he isn't, like you said, even if he is involved in the decisions, he's just the one that has to hand the decisions out. They
right.
might not
He
like with the cuts. He well, it was all his fault. It's like, no, Nick Khan calls his office and is like, all right, we need to shed money because we need to like continue these record breaking, I don't know, quarters and whatever. And if we do
yeah.
that, you're gonna have to get rid of certain people, and these are the people we need to get rid of. What's he gonna
Trip
do? Be like, yeah, no, boss, we're not doing that. Like,
Triple H is basically just the district manager.
yeah, pretty much regional manager. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the regional manager. That's all he is. He's the regional manager, and he's taking directives from Nick Khan and Ari
corporate.
Emanuel, and The Rock, and he's just like, oh, okay. Well, and the thing is, it's like everything is going good. And in a corporate business structure where you're a billion-dollar entity, there is no thing like everything is going good. Let's just ride this out.
Yeah.
Everything has to continually get better than good.
Hmm.
If it's good right now, it has to get better, and then it has to get better than better, and then better than better. And it's
Yeah.
just it
It never
doesn't
stops.
stop. It doesn't stop. The fact that they've been able to do this for 72 years and
Yeah.
be at the top now. Now they're at the top. This is the most they've ever made in 72 years is mind blowing to me.
It is wild. It really is
Mhm.
so fucking wild. But that is all of Mom's questions. So, Mom, thank you
Thank
as
you, Mom.
always. Let's move on to Mike's questions. His first one, we were just talking about it. The Rock had an all-time confusing promo on SmackDown. My thoughts on it. He wanted my
Yeah.
thoughts specifically. Yeah, I was just as confused as everybody else was because it was just like it just didn't make sense.
It,
I mean, we get the whole callback, like we talked about earlier, get the whole callback to like back in the day, which we see what they're doing, but it's just like, did it like it kind of felt like he's really only there to announce that WrestleMania is coming back to New Orleans, and that was kind of it. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I guess you can like cut a promo, I guess.
oh,
And
The Rock's gonna cut a promo.
he did, question mark, I guess. Like I'm just, I don't know. I'm just listening to it going, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, I don't know. It's
I think
just ugh.
I was able to clip that and turn it into a short form content, and like still watching that clip, my confusion is genuine. Like
Yeah.
he was just like, no, 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 I don't want the championship. I want your soul. And it's just like, the fuck is this guy talking about? What?
Yeah, and it's just like,
like
do you really think Cody's gonna go along with that? Like, okay.
what does he mean? The only thing I can think is The Rock wants to be the new Mr. McMahon, but
Yeah.
in a more, I don't know if you watch Daredevil, like a Wilson Fisk, like Kingpin
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
way,
Yep.
where
Yep.
he's not maniacal, and he's not like ha 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 rubbing his hands together like a
Just
evil villain.
calculating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
See,
either way, if Cody gives him what he wants, he's gonna make Cody's life a living hell, basically making him his errand boy. If Cody says no and defies the final boss is gonna make his life a living hell, trying to send every single freaking member of the bloodline, because Rikishi for some reason doesn't believe in contraception.
yeah, well,
There's like a million more bloodline members we haven't even seen, and The
yeah.
Rock can all send them out like Thanos, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and it's just like there's so many ways now that I'm thinking about it. It was a weird way to deliver the message, but
Yeah, there should have been
there
threat. That was my thing. It's like if you're gonna do that, give him the ultimatum, and then he makes his decision at Elimination Chamber, not just, okay, this is what I want you to do,
right, right,
and that's it. I'm not gonna raise the stakes at all. I'm just gonna,
right.
this is what I'm doing, and it's like that's what made it even weirder. Like threaten him with something, like give him a reason to actually pick your side, because any normal person's gonna be like,
Right.
no,
You gave him all the good stuff. You said you can make all of his dreams and the dreams of his wife and his daughter and generations to come. You can make all their dreams come true. You did say that. Yes, that's right. But like you said, it would have been a lot better and maybe a little bit more concise if The Rock would have also threatened him and said, "Well, if you're not willing to do that this is what's going to happen to you."
Yeah.
Then we get the sense like, "Oh shit, if Cody does what The Rock wants, he's basically his little errand boy. But if
Yeah.
he's not, he becomes The Rock's number one enemy. And The
Mhm.
Rock is on the board, and The Rock is a member of the bloodline, and he's high-ranking member of the bloodline, so he can make The Rock's or Cody Rhodes' life a living hell. It's almost like Cody Rhodes standing up to a mafia boss.
Yeah, which is
You know,
literally what it is, like,
you know, I
yeah,
I, I think that's what they're going for, and if they're going for that, I'm all in because it sounds cool.
yeah,
I just think the execution and the delivery of it was a little too campy. It was
yeah,
very Vince McMahon campy.
very, a little too on the nose
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, the I want your soul was just a little too Vince McMahon cheesy, you know.
Yeah,
But if The Rock would have came out and said, "Hey, if you become my champion, I can make your dreams come true. I can make the dreams of your wife and daughter and your mother and everybody in your family come true for generations to come. But if you choose to cross me and not become my champion, then I make your life a living hell." Why? Because I can send out the Jacob Fatus, I can send out the Tamatongas and the Solo Sokoas and the Roman Reigns,
mhm,
and then it's almost like we get this whole saga of Cody beats one of the Rock's guys, and then another bigger guy comes that the Rock is going to deploy, and it's
yeah,
it's that it's almost like that Rock, it's almost like that Austin McMahon feud again, but then it's involving The Rock and Cody Rhodes.
mhm,
Somebody in on Twitch yesterday during the stream had a very interesting idea where it could be The Rock going up against Cody Rhodes and then involving Triple H because
mhm,
Cody is kind of Triple H's guy.
yeah,
Cody is the Hulk Hogan to Vince McMahon,
yeah,
basically,
pretty
in this
much,
situation.
yeah,
So like it can reignite that feud between Triple H and The Rock, and it won't get physical in the ring, but imagine it in a corporate business sense where
ooh,
they're making
ooh,
corporate power plays against each other, forcing people to go against each other, using the roster against
yeah.
each other. That would be insane.
That'd be wild. I would honestly like to see it that way. Maybe it'll happen. I'm kinda
Maybe.
hoping it
I ju
does,
I
but
I just think the execution so far and the delivery was just a little too campy.
yeah.
If it's the "I want your soul" line, and it was just like,
Yeah,
that was just too much. We're in an era of realism. We want realism and
yeah.
relatability. If we want souls to be taken, we'll play Mortal Kombat, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, or Skyrim. Skyrim does that
Yeah,
too.
or Skyrim. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
I will trap your soul in a soul gem, I guess.
There you go. There
And
you
if you
go.
get it, you get it, and you get
There you
brown
go,
you
Rock.
get bonus points from me. If not, we'll move on.
There you go,
Um,
Rock. If you want to take souls, go play Skyrim.
yeah, or Mortal Kombat, either or.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad someone brought this up because this really fucking annoyed me
Uh
last
oh.
week.
Uh
What the
oh.
fuck was that interaction with Thunder Rosa and Megan Bain? It made them both look stupid.
Yeah.
I hated that segment. I fucking could not stand it because first off, it's like, okay, it makes sense. Mike also has kind of a question about the whole feud or the whole match with Stat and Bane. I already thought it shouldn't have happened so soon because I'm
Mm,
like, how do you literally not just build this up because the story writes itself?
right.
But whatever, I'll save that for later. But yeah, you get Penelope Ford, fine, whatever. Am I a little mad Stat lost? Yes, because I love Stat, but you need to legitimize Megan Bain right away, I guess, if you're so dead set on having this match. So Thunder Rosa comes out and it's just like, fine, I guess. Like Thunder Rosa's not bad, but it's also just like, I personally just don't really care. From the moment she just like struggles, like almost falls over getting in the ring with that chair, I'm like, what are we doing? You don't even start swinging. You just stare at them and they stare at you. And then Penelope tries to take the chair and then you both fight over the chair. And I'm like, this is like amateur shit. Like this is embarrassing. Where it's like you are supposed to be a professional wrestling company and that's what you let out there? Like, please. It was just I just hated every moment of that cuz it's just like it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. You
Mhm.
go running down there, don't trip going into the ring, start swinging the chair around, like, they run out of there. It's like, this is not that difficult to understand. I don't know why that was such, like, a monumental task for somebody, was to chase 2 people out of the ring with a chair, and it was just like, that must have been the heaviest fucking chair that she found backstage that it was I don't know. It was just
Oh,
ugh,
man.
if I were her, I would have been pissed at myself. I would have been fuming because again, it just makes you and Penelope and Megan all look dumb. The only person that didn't look dumb out of it was Stat because she was laying on the ground. Like she didn't have anything to do with it. It's just
That was her only defense, just to lay
yeah,
on the ground.
she was spared.
Yeah, I think, yeah, again, execution. This was badly executed.
Yeah.
First, if she can't sturdy hold the steel chair, which those things are not light. They're not like
No.
light chairs. I mean, she is by all accounts, by average, a smaller woman, so it's probably a little bit heavier than normal. So she probably should have went out there with like a kendo stick or something like that.
Yeah. Something.
But I didn't like the fact that like they just kind of had Megan Bain kind of buck up to her like a chump, but
Yeah.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
She's Megan Bain. She's supposed to be a beast.
She could squash her like a bug. Like,
Right, exactly. Have her throw a shot,
yeah.
Have her throw a shot and like or like again, if she would have went out there with a kendo stick, Thunder Rosa swings the kendo stick, Megan Bain catches it and then breaks it over her knee in half.
Yeah, like
And
something.
and and that's the end of that. And then Thunder Rosa slowly backs up and she's checking on Stat, and that's kind of a giveaway to make not make Thunder Rosa look like a chump, but more concerned for stat safety.
Yeah.
Like they gotta, they're not thinking.
No,
They're
they
they're
really weren't.
they're not thinking of like you. This is a sort of thing where you have to look at every possible scenario and the perception of every possible scenario.
Mhm.
How will the fans receive this?
Yeah.
We have to make them go ooh ah,
Yeah.
and then having Megan Bain with Thunder Rosa out there with the chair going what's up, like throwing her hands up and being all cocky and
Yeah.
like standing behind Penelope. She's not a schoolyard bully. She's a monster. She's a beast. This woman's like 5'10", straight stacked like a brick shit house. She
Mhm.
should be in there throwing shots, not schoolyard bully stuff. Again, if Thunder Rosa, they didn't have to get physical, but maybe make it a sense of, oh shit, maybe Thunder Rosa didn't realize how much of a beast this woman is. She just caught this kendo stick strike like nothing and broke this kendo stick. Now Thunder Rosa's like, oh shit, maybe I need to back up. Let me go check on Stat. It's
Yeah.
not that serious. It's you got to be more creative. They're just I don't know. They're just not. I understand why they used to bring in the Hollywood writers to do the creative writing for WWE. Now I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I get it.
It makes
Because
sense.
I used to be like, what do these Hollywood writers know about professional wrestling? Clearly, the professional wrestlers that are now in charge of creative for AEW know nothing about professional wrestling because we get segments like that.
Yeah, it was again amateur hour. It made you guys look so
It
dumb.
was very amateur hour.
It don't give her a chair next time. If that's how it's
Yeah,
gonna go, don't give her a chair.
give her something lighter.
Yeah, like something. Any like a lead pipe or something. I don't know. Like
A pipe would have been cooler. You know how
yeah.
much cooler Rio looked with the pipe being
Yes.
and then, by the way, where is Rio? We need Rio back ASAP.
Honestly, so many questions. So many questions and clearly no answers.
No answers.
What else is new though? I feel like it's every week we have a question. Um, anyway, did we see clips of Elijah, formerly known as Elias, obviously his debut in TNA? I did not,
I
unfortunately.
I saw clips. I didn't see the full matches. Unfortunately, I don't have access to TNA programming, but I did see clips. I honestly think he would be a good fit for TNA right now, where he could actually be something, like he can
Yeah.
sink his teeth into something. Obviously, it didn't work out in WWE right now, but there's always a chance he can go back. Plus, with this partnership between WWE and TNA, it's just like he's like got one foot in the door already. With AEW, like going into AEW, unless you're like a young cat, like you're there's a good chance you're gonna get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
I saw the thing where they were doing like Elijah with the righteous, and
That
I
would have been
thought,
cool.
yeah, I thought, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. And they were like, oh yeah, he signed to AEW, da 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 da. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to TNA. Boom. And it's like, oh,
Okay.
it's like, okay, all right. But like I hope for anybody, where no matter where they go, that they find success and they're able to make money and work their craft. I just think TNA is a good spot for him because he feels like a TNA wrestler. And that's
Yeah.
not a slight. That's not a slight. When I say TNA wrestler, I'm thinking guys like Joe Hendry, Moose,
Yep.
the Frankie Kazarians, the Eddie Edwards, the real workers who
Yeah.
put goodness into TNA. I feel like he fits that mold and it would work out well for him.
Yeah, I completely agree. Good for him. It's just nice to see, yeah, getting released from WWE is never good, but it's nice to see some people land on their feet afterwards because sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes people's entire careers just get destroyed because they get released from WWE or AEW. It's never just one company, but yeah, good for him. Hopefully he does well. I think he would fit that style real well, like you said.
Mhm.
So it'll be exciting to see what he can do.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so Noelle Foley and Frank the Clown were on the most recent TNA show. Didn't know they were still together. What's another wrestling couple that surprises you that they're still together? I'm going to be completely honest, for full transparency. Every single one that I thought of, they broke up. So I'm just like, so there really isn't, unfortunately, any that I can think of that are like, oh wow, yeah, they're still together because they're not. So
you know
like,
I know one to bring up that's gonna stick into the craw of Mike, because we always talk about it anytime we talk about NXT. The fact that Dakota Kai and Eddie Thorpe are a thing.
oh, don't get me started on that one either.
It's just like it's just like
Why?
it's just like and you know me.
Yeah,
I hate to talk bad about any wrestlers. I have the utmost
yeah.
respect for him, but Eddie Thorpe,
I
I
just don't
don't
see it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. I mean, maybe he's really nice out of the ring. I'm sure
I
he is because
hey,
Dakota deserves it. But also, it's just like,
it should have been me. No,
really,
I'm just
yeah, right.
joking.
It's like, it should have been me. Like, whatever.
No, no, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
hey, man, I love love, so I'm not gonna be a hate. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna be a hater. But like that one when that came out, first off, I went, wait a minute, my
yeah,
information is completely wrong here, and
yeah. Because there was somebody else she was seeing, and I'm like, I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of both of them, so paying attention to it, I'm like, oh, please don't tell me this is over. And then I saw that, and I'm like, ah, fuck. I was hoping I was wrong, but when I saw it, I'm just like, ah, like why?
hey, man,
Shit happens.
I like I said, I love love. I think it's cool,
Yeah,
especially finding someone in your profession where you don't have to worry about, like, they don't understand the grind,
yeah,
they don't understand the sacrifice of what this take. No, they do understand, so it
yeah.
makes sense. What other Undertaker and Michelle McCool was a little, that was a little, that's a little different,
I
you
feel
know?
like the one. I mean, I guess we're going by like surprise. I feel like Malachi and Zelina kind of threw me for a
That
loop
was,
for a
yeah,
minute.
yeah, because that, yeah, the dynamic, but for me it makes sense because I grew up a Puerto Rican kid in the hardcore scene, and she's a
Yeah,
Puerto Rican girl from Queens marrying a hardcore,
yeah,
guy like Malachi. So for me it's like, oh, I could see the melding of that, but that one did raise some flags as well. But you know what? I think it's cool. I think it's
Yeah.
cool, and I'm always rooting for couples, and like I'm always rooting for couples like Rhea Ripley
Yeah.
and Buddy Matthews
They're
to be.
hilarious.
I hope they're married for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Same with every other wrestling couple. I
Yeah.
hope they're together for till the end of time because love is cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just
Punk and AJ Lee, that was a
yeah,
surprising one.
that was yes, yes, that one was like, "Oh,
I
okay," like,
I found out the day they got married. I was like, wait
no
a minute.
idea. Oh,
What do you CM Punk got married to who?
you're like,
I was
"Wait a minute," like
wait,
that's
that was real? Like
yeah,
they were really kissing each other like like
yeah.
CM Punk had to watch Dolph Ziggler do what? Like
Ugh. I just it's just funny how being in a professional, like, wrestling capacity is the one exception to the rule of don't date within your job.
right, don't shit where you eat
Yeah,
basically.
it's so weird to me that it's like that's, like, accepted and whatever, and then it's
Because
like
it's a lifestyle that most people don't understand. It's like,
yeah,
again, to understand the grind and the sacrifice of I'm gonna be on the road for like 225, 250 days a year. I'm gonna miss birthdays and anniversaries. Nobody's gonna understand that because humans are inherently selfish. So
yeah,
if you miss a birthday or an anniversary, and there's a good chance somebody's going to be pissed off about that.
mhm,
But you date somebody else that is in the industry that understands the sacrifice and the grind, and it kind of makes things a lot better. Back in the day, it used to be
mhm,
that way where like wrestlers didn't commingle and the divas didn't mess with the male talent. But now it's like everybody. Like
yeah,
another one comes Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch.
yeah, that one, I'm like, "Wow, alright," like,
I'm like, yeah, goddamn, like and now
oh,
that
Mia Yim and Keith Lee, that was another one where
that's another one.
I'm like, "Alright," I'm like,
And,
"Good for you guys," like,
and Mia before Keith Lee was with Eddie Kingston, and
that is just so strange to me, like, that just I can't, like, I
and I'm
can't wrap
not
my head
saying
around
that
that one.
I'm not saying that in a gossiping sort of way. I'm
Yeah,
saying that for content of the question.
yeah,
It's just like, it's just like I think what it is again, the grind of it all, you kind of become bonded, and it's
yeah,
something that not a lot of people can understand. So when you meet a person that can telepathically understand, like, this is a dedication, and this person is allowing me to be a bonus to their life because that's what relationships are. It's
yeah,
a bonus to your life. So
yeah,
this person is not only like letting me in, they're gonna make me somewhat of a priority. They're gonna try to wiggle around some time frame where they can stay dedicated to their craft, but also dedicated to this romantic relationship. It's not easy.
no, it's
It's
if it is,
it's
everybody would be together,
hey,
like,
that's a great way to put it.
everybody would be seeing somebody, so, yeah, yeah, it's great, it's a great time, anyways, so moving on to got another then we got an NXT TNA question. So Moose and Obafemi. Might
Mm,
this be the best dream match between working companies, at least on paper? Um, as far as powerhouses go, maybe, but
mhm,
there's a couple more that I would much rather see. But like I'd rather say like Kenny Omega and Seth Rollins. I'd like to
mhm.
see like Will Ospreay and Seth Rollins, like Will
Yeah,
Ospreay versus pretty much anybody in WWE, really. Like,
yeah,
so I mean, it's like I can see the appeal. It's just,
right. I think that's what it is to me. I think it's the appeal.
yeah,
Because ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to see WWE work with another company, maybe not as big as them, but on the same level in terms of this is a national company that people see,
yeah,
and they're not WWE, they're WWE's direct competition, but for the time being, for the good of wrestling, they're
yeah,
gonna put aside the competition and try to do some cool shit. And I think that's what TNA and WWE and NXT are doing right now. They're saying, you know what? in no way are we real we're competition with each other because we're in the same industry, but we can really do something cool and like change the game. And I think that's why it worked. That's honestly, and this is again, this is not a they versus them situation. If AEW would have just been like, hey, we're not trying to come after WWE. We just want to present professional wrestling in a different way for a different type of audience. But hey, our hats are off to them. They're doing incredible things. We could have had a
Yeah.
WWE AEW crossover. But once you start talking out of your ass,
Mhm.
when you start, it's that old adage: if you come for the king, you best not miss.
Yeah.
You can't. You started coming for the king and like showing up in their parking lots and having little rallies and having these pot shots and we're Pepsi and they're Harvey Weinstein. And it's just like, and
Yeah.
you wonder why every single opportunity they just fucking bury your shows, that when they do those head to heads, they
Mhm.
stack their shows on purpose to make fun of you. It's not because they're scared of you. It's not even because they want to do it, because they do it because in reality they're the corporate bully and they're putting you in your place. But if
Yeah.
you would have just kept your mouth shut, if you would have just said, hey, that's WWE. They're the king of this thing, but we're just trying to present professional wrestling in a different way for a different type of fan.
Yeah.
You can be a fan of both. That's no problem at all. WWE would have looked at that and said, hey, maybe we could do something.
You don't step
You
on the
know,
toes.
it's just like, come on, man. We got you.
Coulda
It's
had it
just
all.
I don't get it. Like I feel like I'm a dummy because a lot of this stuff is like I don't get why they're doing this and not doing this, and I feel like I would be exposed to something that makes me go, "Oh, that's why I put it." I'm just having a hard time trying to get to that
Yeah.
part there, But again, it's just like I I can't say that I'm a huge fan of Moose. Like I've seen 1,000 Moose matches.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that he went from being a powerhouse in the football world and he really took to professional wrestling. And I think what I saw, I think is when he started having matches with Okada and he
Mhm.
saw how good Okada was, and then that's when I heard it kind of ignited the fire for Moose to really hone in on his craft. So to be able to do that and then have this opportunity to shake the foundation of professional wrestling with a guy like Oba Femi, like everybody on paper, you look at that, and you're like, yeah, I want to see Moose and Oba Femi, like,
Yeah.
of course, So it's just like it's a really cool time. It's a really cool time, and I can't wait to see what they do with Moose and Oba Femi. The fact that they had the NXT champion show up on TNA Impact, their TV show, must have been huge. I know that place must have went crazy.
Yeah. That place would have been fucking wild.
Yeah,
But yeah, it just could have had it all and gotten
could have
nothing.
had it all.
Yeah, but at least it's like we've gotten to a point now where that it's more possible now than it was back then because people can see when money's money. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Money is money. That's a great way to put that too. It's just
get
like,
the egos out of the way.
and that's the thing about WWE is, and I'm not trying to be a homer. It's just like it's always been a situation where if the money makes sense, let's go for it. We
Yeah,
can let bygones be bygones. We can, sweep things under the rug for the betterment of making money, which is what professional wrestling is about. Real issues, personal issues draw money.
exactly. And people will spend money when that kind of shit goes on. So, yeah, yeah. Just glad we're in a better place with that because, again, it's just, we could just have constantly where everyone just hates each other. And I mean, that in and of itself creates,
Hmm.
money, but sometimes you just got to work together. Sometimes you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this one, this one, I'm glad we got another question about this one too. What are our thoughts on Ryan Nemeth's lawsuit against AEW and CM Punk?
I was going to. Did you read up on that? I was going to
Yes, I
read.
did.
I'm glad you did because I was gonna read up on that and I just got sidetracked with everything else. So, like, why is who is Ryan Nemeth suing? He's suing AEW and
He's
Tony Khan.
suing Tony Khan and CM Punk, and I would assume as a whole AEW because he pretty much says that they got him blackballed from wrestling and did what was the word? Irreprehensible damage to his career because Punk was just essentially a bully and
But
diminished my reputation and whatever. And
I don't I'm not trying to be a dick,
I think you
but
and I are. I think we're about to say the same thing. It's
but
Ryan Nemeth.
yeah, like
Like
ah,
I get legally you have to make yourself seem like a big deal
right,
for legal purposes, but at the end of the day, you're not Kenny Omega. Like you're not Will
right,
Ospreay.
right.
You're someone that barely was on TV to begin with. So I don't think, and I mean, it's not probably out of the realm of possibility the Punk was an asshole to him, perhaps for no
Oh, for
reason.
I
Who
can
knows?
I can guarantee you he was an asshole to him.
Probably, and it's
I
just, well,
can
he got me, like, blackballed from, like, I never was on TV again, and the one
brother,
the one thing that
what?
the thing that got me was the line where he's like, well, I mean, obviously his legal name. So Phil Brooks left AEW to go to the competitor WWE, and I'm sitting there reading that going, I don't think he left willingly. I think last I checked he was fired.
He
So
was
that's not
fired.
leaving, but
He was fired because his boss was scared for his life, apparently.
and dude, for the amount of times during that, well, I don't know, like I don't know what you wanted, the deposition or whatever, or just like the lawsuit or whatever, the amount of times that they mentioned that Tony Khan had such an affinity for CM Punk and Phil Brooks and whatever, and it literally they mentioned that at least a half a dozen times in that entire document. Like he did this because of his affinity for Phil Brooks.
Oh my
He did this to me because Phil Brooks told him to, and he has such an affinity towards him and admiration and all of again repeated over and over and over again. And it's
it's
just like,
oh my god.
dude,
I just
I
have this vision of Tony Khan getting that subpoena that he and CM Punk have to show up to court, and it's Tony Khan just kicking his feet because he gets to see CM
yeah,
Punk
right,
again.
literally.
He's so happy. He's like, "What am I gonna wear? What am
Yeah,
I gonna
literally, which tie
do?"
do I wear today?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad that you and I are both on the same wavelength because as I'm reading this, I'm just like, you are not that big of a name that it
yeah.
did
I'm
irreprehensible
sorry.
damage to your career, and you can't do this and that and whatever
Right.
anymore. I don't have a career anymore because of him, and it's just like,
Which is not true because he just had matches. He just got a tag team title match with his brother on TNA. What is he talking about?
yeah, exactly. Like, all right, now hold on. Let me pull this back. Let me pull it up just so I can
What
like
is
see what he's exactly suing for, and I can tell you if it's ridiculous or
the
not.
thing is this to say, hey, these two screwed me out of millions of dollars in my career, you first have to prove that you were worth millions of dollars.
Yeah, he
You know
sued them for assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and
what
intentional
the
interference with prospective advantage.
this guy's just making words like
Yeah,
breach of good faith. He
breach of
lied
good
to
faith.
he lied to me. You know, like
Yeah, yeah, because there was something in here where it was like
you
he
never been
said
lied
that,
to, Ryan Nemeth. Like, what are we
yeah,
doing,
it was like he said that the legal team told him it was you didn't have to worry and that it wasn't going to be a problem. And then as soon as CM Punk saw him, then it became a problem. And so I'm just like sitting here and it was just like, that was probably 5 minutes of my life reading that I'm probably not going to get back. It was
brother?
just
What do
kind
you
of
expect? Like
insane.
you want to be friends with everybody you work with? Like that
That doesn't
doesn't
happen. Trust me,
that
I can tell you that doesn't happen. Like,
that doesn't happen. Like, brother,
yeah,
you do your job, you go home again. In order for you to say Tony Khan, AEW, and CM Punk screwed me out of millions of dollars, you have to prove that the millions of dollars you got screwed out of was coming your way in the first place.
yeah,
Nobody on this planet was going, Ryan Nemeth, big fucking deal. He's gonna be a big deal for
yeah,
AEW.
we're doing it.
Like brother, you were working AEW dark and elevation matches.
Yeah,
You were in the trenches, my guy. Like you maybe missed out, if you missed out of money for because of CM Punk, um, in the tens of thousands, brother. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm again, this podcast, I know podcasts and wrestling podcasts, the characters tend to be a little dickish. I'm not trying to be dickish here, but there's like an ego thing sometimes with people, especially wrestlers' ego. Um, and again, the guy just got a tag team title shot with his brother, the
Yeah.
actual millionaire of the two, on TV.
Yeah, it's like,
So
what are
how
you doing?
where
Like,
where's the detriment to your career there?
yeah, because you don't think that you don't think that AEW and Punk and Khan's legal teams are going to look at that and go, "Yeah, clearly you're missing out on money because you've had how many matches since this lawsuit was filed?"
Exactly.
It's like
Exact
you don't go into a lawsuit not completely 100% innocent and be like, "Okay, I get all the things right. Like I did the less like worst thing, but I still like I'm innocent, I promise." It's like that's not
this
how that works.
this is like when the insurance company catches you, playing basketball in the park when you filed the workers comp claim.
Oh,
You
yes,
know?
and people follow you. They think that's a
Yeah.
big you think that
Exactly.
that's like a not a thing. That is actually a thing. Like these workers comp businesses will hire people to follow you around
Right. So
and make sure that you're not doing something stupid.
if you say, our actions were detrimental to your career, but I turn on the TV and you're on my TV,
Yeah.
where's the detriment, buddy?
Yeah, it's like insert foot into mouth here because that's literally what you're doing right now.
Goofy behavior.
It's just like I said, just reading that
Goofy.
whole thing, I'm just like, why did I what like I don't know why I read that. I shouldn't have, but
Goofy.
it was such
CM
it
Punk
was
was mean to me.
yeah, literally, like, it went about 50 other people probably,
There's a
like
good chance CM Punk will be mean to me, and he doesn't even
yeah.
know me. And I go up to him, "Hey, CM Punk, I'm a big fan." He'd be like, "I don't give a shit. Get away from me."
You're
You
like,
know,
"Okay, fa"
like,
and you're like, "You know what?
yeah,
Fair."
fair. I caught him on a bad day. That's my fault.
Yeah, like, yeah, just it was
Ay, ay, ay.
he's so dumb. Okay, so Mike knows we don't smoke cigarettes or cigars, but if there was ever a match to do so, that women's tag main event match on Raw certainly would qualify. How much did you enjoy that match, and did you have to go have a smoke of some sort, weed, cigar, cigarette, or otherwise? So maybe not that. I maybe anything of the sort, but we did touch on this earlier. That match was fantastic. That was
Yeah,
definitely had all the just the ending sequences too. It was just all those near falls just got you. Like not even
yeah.
just us, got the crowd, got probably everybody online. It was just back and forth, and it could have ended like five different spots, and it's just like this is fucking insane. But
Right, and you know what? Liv and Raquel have some really good chemistry as a tag team.
yeah,
So, honestly, I gotta give them credit as the new champions. They do fit the bill as a tag team, especially with that one maneuver where Liv does the code breaker from that elevated position because Raquel is holding the opponent. I
yeah,
think that's such a dope move. If, like, Raquel can learn how to flat back bump that into where she takes the move down so it's extra devastation, I think it would be phenomenal. But the way the pacing of that match, and especially once they started going into we're just gonna go pedal to the metal and like false finish, false finish, false finish. I was just it was cool to be a fan watching wrestling. Like it
yeah,
was I didn't have to worry about being a streamer. I didn't have to worry about for the podcast or anything. I'm just strictly a wrestling fan, really, really enjoying this wrestling match.
yeah.
And again, I wanted Bianca and Naomi to retain,
Me
and they
too.
didn't. But it was just like, damn, they didn't retain. But God, that was such a good match. That
Yeah,
was such a good match. And really, I mean, it's just I live for stuff like that. To be able to say like people who get a lot of shit because Raquel gets a lot of shit, and Liv's been getting a lot of shit, and everybody's confused about this Jade situation. So Naomi and Bianca de facto get some backlash from it. For those four ladies to go out there and just fucking burn the building down with that match was just a sight to see. So they
yeah.
deserve a lot of credit.
I completely agree. Again, it was just a fantastic match from start to finish.
Fantastic.
Why Hot Shot Stat versus Bane or Hangman versus MJF? I'd love to fucking know myself because again, I talked about it earlier. I just you see the little confrontation between Stat and Bane a couple weeks ago, and you're like, okay, cool. This could be something. This could be like what they wanted with Camille and Stat. Like this
Mhm.
could be the like Clash of the Titans. You could fully build this up to Revolution, or if we're past that, you could build it up to the next pay per view, which I think would be Full Gear. I think if we're going timeline wise, maybe.
I thought Full Gear was more November.
Yeah, no idea. It is.
It would be All In. All In would be no,
All yeah.
because All
No,
In would
All In's
be
August
July.
or September
Oh,
or
no,
All
no, no,
Out.
no. All Out's yeah, All
Yeah.
Out's the All
Um,
In is July 12th, I believe.
Either all right, so yeah, but either way, like if we were past like Revolution, like we could build this to the next pay per view. Like this is
Mhm,
definitely a pay per view worthy match because in the
mhm.
very short time we've seen Megan Bain, I think she's great. She's got a cool look. I mean, obviously, I'm also a mythology nerd, so of course I'm gonna flock to her. She's cool, and of course, Stats just fucking fantastic in general. And then to see the graphic, like, oh yeah, next week they're gonna wrestle. I'm like,
Yeah.
did you not? You have to, and this is my problem with AEW. They don't let things just cook. They don't.
Yeah.
Where it's like you need people to build up, like I don't know. We'll just say online, where it's like, ooh, they had this like stare down this week. I really hope like we
Give
get to
them a
see them
reason to
wrestle
buy
at
a
some
ticket.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you literally just gave it away.
Mhm.
And then to add insult to injury, that bullshit thing with Thunder Rosa and them didn't help things either. So it's just like, why? And I mean, same thing with MJF and Hangman. It's just they just can't help themselves, and I feel like sometimes out of just desperation, they kind of are just like, well, we need to do something really cool, really quick. So here, just like let's just do that. Like you said, throw spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks.
Right, yeah, that's basically what it is. What it is they're putting things on the program without giving it a purpose.
Yeah,
They're just putting it on the program hoping that it'll spike a rating and everything like that, but the problem is when you operate like that, it's not substantial. It's
no,
not gonna carry on to the next week. We've already seen that. We already have the data that shows us when you do that, there is no carryover to the next week. What
yeah,
carries over is when a story is being told, when people can be like, okay, I have a reason now that this match is happening, a reason that I want to see this match, a reason to buy a ticket to
yeah,
this match.
hmm,
Um and so by putting these matches in this, and that's exactly why they did it with the Megan Bain Statlander situation.
yeah,
The MJF Hangman situation, I think the only reason that came about is because they realized that the MJF Jeff Jarrett situation was a crash and burn,
yeah,
and they
yeah. That was a fucking train wreck from the start.
yeah, and they needed something to be like, oh, we need to get this seriousness back on track, because
Yeah,
that's the only way anybody can care about MJF, because again, you have MJF go out there and go, "Oh, is this all elite wrestling or all elderly wrestling?" And then you march out Dustin Rhodes, who's like
yeah,
55.
tone
And
deaf.
it's just like, okay, you're proving his point. You're proving the bad guy's point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It
like,
it
uh,
and just going off of like what you said with the make people want to buy a ticket, especially with the whole Stat and Bane thing, especially after what happened with the whole Thunder Rosa run. And do you really think people are going to be like, gee, I can't wait to have this inevitable tag match between the four of them? Because you know that's where it's going. Do you really think people give a shit about it now?
it's almost like, to put it in a way you would understand, it's almost like the trailer for Star Wars
Hmm.
is Darth Vader telling Luke that he is his father.
Yeah, it's
And
like
it's
you
like
already see it coming, and it's just like
yeah,
there's no suspense, there's no
yeah,
like
so
shock.
it's like, why the fuck am I going to go see the movie? You already just gave away the movie right there in
Yeah,
the trailer, you know? And that's exactly what AEW is doing. They're giving away their movies that should be on big pay-per-views and drawn out stories. They're giving it away in the trailers that are AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision.
yeah, exactly. It just makes my fucking head hurt because it's like you think
Mhm.
at some point they'd learn, but clearly they don't learn. It
No,
just
CM Punk said it. CM Punk said it. If I come in here and I'm booking the shows, and a show that I book, gets 200 tickets sold. The next show that I book, I want to make sure I sell 201 tickets.
Yeah.
It's all about selling a ticket in wrestling. The only way you can sell a ticket to get people to see the match is you got to build up a story. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it's a backstage confrontation. Gunther walked up on the Alpha Academy doing TikToks, and then they had a 5 minute segment with Tozawa, and that was the well, I love that entire segment
Yeah.
because it got to show Tozawa fighting back. But you see, there was a purpose to that.
Yeah.
That just didn't happen. We just didn't turn on Raw and they were like, we're going to see Akira Tozawa take on the world heavyweight champion Gunther, because then everybody would be like, why the fuck is that happening?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like they have actual reasons for why they do
yeah,
things.
Gunther gave us a reason. He says, "Hey, I think you're a joke. I'm going to show that you're a joke, just like those stupid TikTok dances you saw me walk into when the show started. It had a purpose. Something
Yeah.
happened where we had to see that." Again, it's just Tony Khan is just like, I want to do this. Let's do this. And he just runs with it. He has
Yeah.
no thought process.
Yeah. Doesn't know long-term planning at
None.
all. Clearly, as we continue to see, and clearly it's not going to change anytime soon. All right. So Mike's last question is most underrated manager of all time.
Ooh, most underrated manager of all time.
That's a tough
That is,
one.
I would have to go with Sherry Martel,
Yeah,
sensational Sherry. Um, the stuff she did with Macho Man was great, but really it was the stuff she did with Harlem Heat as Sister Sherry that
yeah.
I think put her on the map. I think I really had to think hard about that one. I thought about that one earlier when I saw it. I was like, I'm really gonna have to think about this one. So the one I can come up with is definitely Sherry Martel, Sister Sherry.
That's a good, that's a good one. I don't know why this one kind of stuck in my head, but I think it's probably because it's more recent. But I said Zelina Vega
Oh, yeah.
because she really did save Andrade's career in NXT, and it's like
Really?
I get that they kind of did like a like on the nose where they like pretty much acknowledged it in storyline, but she really did because he was doing nothing, and she literally turned him into like a bona fide main event star in NXT. So
He became the champion. He
yeah,
became the
and
champion
became one of the bigger things in NXT at the time and had great feuds. She can talk, clearly can wrestle, as we know. And yeah, it's just that I always thought she was a good manager, always thought she was a great wrestler. I'm glad that they're, I mean, hopefully going to give her her flowers at some point. But yeah, she's a great wrestler, but never knock her managerial skills too. They are
for sure.
definitely top notch.
For sure.
All right, so that was all of Mike's questions. So thank you, Mike, as always.
Thank you, Mike.
And we actually have some questions from somebody we haven't heard from in a while. We have some from
Oh,
Jeff.
oh, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's back.
Nice.
So the very first one, he wants to be on the record by saying he had nothing to do with the Jade Cargill incident, like what you and Mike are insinuating that he did. But that said, when are they going to finally pull the trigger on revealing who attacked her? The story has gone on too long as it is. I think we pretty much agreed, probably by SmackDown or Elimination Chamber. I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
make it go any longer because you kind of have to go to WrestleMania now. You kind of have to start building it up.
Yeah, I think something's gonna happen where we get a situation that's gonna culminate at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So, and if they need to culminate it at WrestleMania, you kind of need to have the time to build the story. So, probably time is of the essence. So, like I said,
Yeah,
probably within the next few days, I would think at SmackDown or Elimination Chamber. But that remains to be seen. But I think it's a pretty safe bet. So this one I definitely talked about at length earlier. Why the hell is Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley on a Raw instead of WrestleMania? Because it is a WrestleMania main event level match and it's being relegated to this lesser position. I would love to know the question. I would love to know the answer myself because I'm still asking it. And it's
mhm,
just that, like when we were making the predictions earlier, it was just hard for me because the only answer I really wanted to say was Io Sky because that's the main event match. I
yeah,
mean, maybe they didn't want to give Io another match. Maybe they wanted to give somebody else a shot, which is like, okay, fine,
hmm,
I guess, but you kind of been hinting at Rhea and Io for a while. And
yeah,
so mostly everyone just assumed it was going to be, oh, we can just do this at WrestleMania. She's going to win the Elimination Chamber. And then she doesn't even win the qualifiers. And then it's just like, what are we doing? And then, oh, to add insult to injury, we're just going to take this high level match and put it on a Raw. Not that it's a bad thing, but when it should be on a WrestleMania, it's a little glaring. So, I don't know why. We're not in the writer's room. We're not in the boardroom. So I don't know why, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I wish I knew, but
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. That's kind of, I guess, my one gripe with WWE and the women's division is I feel like they could do more than just the only matches we see on PLE happen to be women's title matches or women's
yeah,
matches that are direct correlations to title matches in the future. I'd like to see a women's match on a PLE just for the sake of it being a feud, you know?
like makes
Uh,
Knox and Dakota Kai in NXT years ago. They just
right,
hate each
right.
other.
Right, and that's basically why NXT is, to me, the best women's division in all of wrestling,
Yeah,
because you just have these random stories with the women, and not everything involves a title. These women just want to fight, you
yeah,
know. So
exactly.
like that's why I really think NXT's women division is the best women's division on all of wrestling. I think that's my only gripe, and I feel like that would placate fans like Jeff more if we can get more like Io Sky matches, not necessarily for a title, but just for a fact that it's for bragging rights to be the best in the division. Same with
Yeah,
like Kyrie Sane when she comes back from injury, you know, and Asuka. And I'd like to see these women that we are fans of in wrestling matches other for prizes other than just titles. You know, it's
yeah,
more so let me show that I'm the best out here that can do this. So I feel, and then like on the bright side though, we did get that 1 week where we got those vignettes of Io Sky. I feel like they have something planned for Io Sky. It's just, again, like we said earlier, timing.
yeah,
Timing is a big deal.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's just I don't know. I'm still going to question it leading up to WrestleMania because what could have been.
Mhm.
Does anyone actually care about the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton match? We all know Charlotte's going to win because LOL Charlotte wins the meme. I mean, it's kind of sad that it's really not that far out of the realm of possibility that she wins because we kind of have been preconditioned to think that that's going to be the case, and they really didn't do any favors having her
Right.
come back and then immediately win the Rumble. So if there are people out there that are a little worried, I don't blame you because it's not like they've given you any reason to think otherwise.
Right.
I mean, I feel like the match, the match could be great with the caveat that Charlotte actually puts the effort in.
Yeah, yeah, we've been saying that from the beginning. As long as Charlotte gives a shit, the match will be fantastic. She's able to pull out those big matches, especially on a stage like WrestleMania, because we've seen her do it multiple times.
Yeah,
It's all a matter is if she cares. I would like to see more of a back and forth with these two, more so than just words.
yeah,
Make tensions a little higher, like maybe have a match on SmackDown. It could be non-title or title, but have Charlotte be the special guest referee or
yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
Or like Charlotte picks Tiffany's opponent, or Tiffany picks Charlotte opponent, or they both do that for an episode of SmackDown. Have them kind of beef with each other. You
Yeah,
know, I don't think there's enough. I don't believe in the beef. I
yeah,
simply just believe this match happened because Charlotte picked Tiffany. But
yeah.
I need
Just
there
stay.
to, right, yeah, I need there to be a little bit sizzle on there. So give me the beef between the two.
Yeah,
What's the fight for? You know,
yeah,
okay, yeah, they're going for a title. It's WrestleMania. I get that. But they have to dislike each other, you
yeah.
know?
Like,
So
yeah,
so show me that they dislike each other. Show me that they want to beat the shit out of each other. You
yeah.
know?
Give us a reason to care.
Exactly. Exactly. Sell me the ticket.
Yeah, maybe they maybe they will Friday. We keep saying that maybe something's going to happen with multiple storylines Friday that we don't know about yet because we're not, time travelers, but
Yeah, it's just again like you said a couple seconds ago, we just been preconditioned to think a certain way, and what they do now, it just kind of throws us for a loop. So we're trying to be analytical, but we're so used to things going a certain way that we only have one format to go off of.
Yeah, it it's great. It's a great
Mm.
time. It's great when you have PTSD from a wrestling company. It's great. Love it. Um, so the NXT Women's Division feels very crowded at the top with the addition of Jordan Grace to the roster that includes Zarya, Stephanie Becker, obviously Roxanne Perez, maybe not so much for a while, and Julia, with Perez supposedly going to the main roster sooner rather than later. Which woman not named could step up to fill her shoes? I mean that's very tough to
Yeah,
to
that
fill
is
her
tough.
shoes. I feel like singularly you could say Cora Jade because I feel like that's pretty much the next best thing to Roxanne, but I feel like most of the division as a whole would have to step up. It couldn't just be
Right.
just one person because again, we named off a whole bunch of people earlier: Sol Ruka, Jada Parker,
Yeah.
Carmen Petrovich, slash Splash Legend. Like you have all these people that you said they're the best wrestler, the women's division in wrestling for a reason. So losing Roxanne Perez is going to be huge for them. It's going to be a big blow, but I think just
Right.
the overall talent they have, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to cause the division to collapse because,
Right.
like he even said, they have Jordan Grace now, they have
Yeah.
Zarya, they have Stephanie Vaquera, they have Julia. Like you guys aren't hurting for talent if
Yeah.
Roxanne leaves, so
The
I
the
feel
women's
like they'll be
Go ahead.
fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say the women's division is a perfect example of how WWE is a machine and the women individually are just cogs in the wheel. You know,
Yeah,
you take one out, you move it up to the next wheel that needs it, and you bring in one, and it's like a seamless transition. Just like you said, they take Roxanne out, move her to the main roster. They're not starved for women talent in NXT. They have Zarya, Sol Ruka, Carmen Petrovich, Izzy Dame,
yeah. Lonnie Jordan, yeah,
I'm starting to really become a big time fan of Kalani Jordan ever since she kind of turned on that aggression
yeah.
and that sort of unhingedness
Hmm.
to her because she seems kind of crazy now.
Yeah,
I'm really a big fan, and she keeps evolving her arsenal of moves. You know, she keeps incorporating her gymnast background into her wrestling, and you can see that it's starting to click, and you can kind of it's neat when you can kind of see someone falling in love with their craft, and I feel like
yeah,
that is what Kalani Jordan is. I think Kalani Jordan could be the next big star, women's star after Roxanne Perez. Same can go for like Fallon Henley and anybody in Fatal Influence.
yeah,
There I think Fatal Influence is really good as a heel kind of fodder team. It's just they're cooking. It's one of those things where like one leaves. Stephanie Vecchia could leave right now and they'll still be fine. Julia could leave right now and they'll still be fine. Anybody from that women's division can leave and go to Raw and SmackDown, and that women's division will be absolutely fine. That is what's the craziest thing and the scariest thing, and that's why it's the best women's division in all of pro wrestling.
exactly. So that they'll be just fine.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Don't worry about them. Uh, who would we choose from both AEW and WWE to go sing karaoke with, and what song do you think they'd sing?
Oh,
That's a fun one. So I feel like for a wild time, Mia Yim would be like popping
yeah,
off on karaoke, and you know she'd do something like NWA, like
yeah, yeah.
she'd be like popping off with that. So Mia Yim from WWE for me personally, and then AEW. I feel like just for the laughs, I would want RJ City because you know he's gonna sing like a
Show tune or
a
something.
show tune, old timey kind of song, just for like
Yeah,
the entertainment purpose. So two completely different reasons why, two way opposite ends of the spectrum. But I think those two would be a fun time at
yeah.
karaoke.
I don't know what we would sing per se.
Hmm.
Um, but two people that I would want to sing karaoke with, one from WWE, one from AEW. AEW seems kind of easy for me. I want to see John Moxley
Yeah,
do some
do something.
karaoke. Yeah, do some karaoke. Maybe we'll have a duet. Maybe he'll sing like My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Oh my god, a ballad.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Um and I feel like Naomi would probably give us a good performance karaoke wise, or maybe Bianca would give us a good performance. Bianca,
Yeah.
they maybe like a Kiss from a Rose from Seal, something like
Yeah,
that,
that'd be a good one.
something like that, something a little ballady, something where you can belt it out. I think they'd kill it. That's a good question.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Thanks, Jeff. And that's actually all of Jeff's questions. So we are,
Shout out to Jeff.
yeah,
Oh,
welcome back.
yeah, he's and he it's funny because he and Mike have such a like rivalry
The
now.
blood feud.
Yeah, and Mike just looks for every reason to like shit stir, and
Yeah.
he like intentionally mispronounces Mayu Iwatani's name
Oh
in
God.
chat just to piss Jeff off. He
Just
once called
shit stirrer.
he once called her Mayo Kawasaki, and
Oh no,
and,
no.
and I lost it.
Oh, God.
I lost my mind. Oh
Shit
god.
stirrer.
Yeah, those two, it's like I kind of have fun with it, and then it's like, oh man, I gotta get in the middle of
You
this
gotta break
because
it
they're
up.
they're gonna kill each other.
You're like,
Oh
I
man,
can't see a murder on my chat. Like this can't
yeah,
happen. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so maybe they might have to settle it at Hell in a Cell. Who knows? Like they
That's what
might,
I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're gonna have to book a ringside rundown event,
yeah, pay per
and
view.
yeah, and then have the match where it's Mike versus Jeff inside a steel cage or something.
Yeah, Texas Death Match inside a
There
steel
you
cage.
go. I love it. I
Yeah.
This is why you need the pencil.
Yeah, I'll take it for a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
want that kind of power though for full time. I may have to pass it off at some point. But speaking of passing things off, you informed me that we have some questions over on Discord, so I'm going to give you the
Yes.
hot tag to take over on the questions. So
Awesome,
let's
awesome.
hear it.
I hope I can do as good a job as you do. We have some questions from our good buddy Bella, who is
Nice, nice.
a great Bella is the epitome of why what we do here is so good, especially when we do like the live streaming content, because we open the door for everybody to come join us for fun on
Yeah,
the Ringside Rundown. It doesn't matter if you're a new wrestling fan or an old wrestling fan, been watching for years. Bella is actually, she wasn't even a wrestling fan before she ended up meeting me via Twitch. It was just kind of a
damn,
thing where like, yeah, it just kind of like, we're both on Twitch, support for support. We were kind of in the same circle. So she kind of joined the community, and then she got it kind of thrusted into this whole wrestling thing. And now she's a full-fledged wrestling fan, and she listens to the podcast, and
nice,
she despises Logan Paul and
smart,
MJF.
very
Like,
smart.
oh my, like the it was the when MJF and Will Ospreay were feuding, and MJF did that giant American flag thing, and he was the American champion. That's when Bella was like, "Who is this fucking asshole?" Da, da, da. She was just like, she was just
Yeah,
like, she like, and it's just like you can see her. She buys into the magic and wonder of pro wrestling. So it's awesome that she was able to throw us some questions. She threw us three, I'm telling you, three doozies that is gonna
well,
have us here. First one on her list of questions is, what wrestler, in your opinion, has WWE done the most dirty?
oh God. Jesus, coming in hot with that one. I feel like I think for me, Asuka, they've
Mm,
really done Asuka dirty because I mean, it's pretty easy to see why she's never won a singular WrestleMania match, and it's like it's such a shame too because you go back to, and we say it all the time, it's the truth. Black and Gold NXT. She was
mm,
one of the best NXT Women's Champions of all time. Like I always said, her and Shayna Baszler, two best NXT Women's Champions of all time. No contest. Like nobody else can compare to those two. And then you bring her up to the main roster, and who do you have her lose to? Who beats the streak? Charlotte. And from then on, it was just like she never really had a consistent booking for anything. And
Right.
then you get the injuries thrown in. That doesn't help either. But then I feel like we kind of have touched on it before where when it comes to the Japanese wrestlers, Vince just did not get them, did not like did the bullshit. Well, they can't cut a promo because they can't speak English, which is again bullshit because you don't always need to.
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel like Asuka just never really got a fair shake, and she should have because she could have had just as good of a career in the main roster as she did in NXT, and I just don't think she never found her footing through no fault of her own, which is a shame because she's a great
Mhm.
talent. And yeah, it still blows my mind to know that she's never won a WrestleMania match. Like of all people, like you got to at least give her one, but apparently not.
Yeah. For me, I would say I don't know if they've done him the most dirty, but it's definitely a confusing situation, and it's someone that we mentioned a little while ago, and that is Andrade.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just kind of perplexed as to Andrade killed it in NXT as we talked about earlier, gets to the main roster, kind of flounders in the main roster, did have a reign as US champion, but nothing really substantial to make us stand out and say, hey, that was great. And then he
Hmm.
moves on to AEW. Things don't work out in AEW. He comes back to WWE to much fanfare. And I
Ugh.
don't know if maybe the WWE is just giving him time to heal a broken heart because of his divorce.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that
but
might have to do with it.
what the hell is Andrade doing?
Nothing.
Nothing. A whole
Nothing.
lot of nothing.
Whole
A
lot of
whole lot of
nothing.
not whole lot of nothing. So I don't know if it's necessarily done the most dirty, but it's just confusing to see how they book Andrade, um,
Yeah.
in the situation that he's in. But that definitely was an interesting question. We still have another one here from Bella. She wants to know which wrestler do you think has too much story slash screen time, and which wrestler do you wish had more screen time or stories?
Oh God. Too much screen time. Logan Paul.
I knew it was Logan
I
Paul.
mean, that one's just kind of easy because it's just like, but it's this tough thing of like, yeah, he's a great wrestler, but he's a shit human. So it's like I'd rather just not see him.
But like I said last week, I was the same way. He's a great wrestler, a shit human, but now I'm in the camp of WWE has a million great wrestlers. They don't need this one great wrestler. They
Yeah.
can dispose of him, but they won't.
Yeah, and they unfortunately they won't because TikTok's a thing. So
Right. So, who do you wish had more screen time or more storylines?
Shayna,
Shayna,
and I mean like legit storylines, not okay. We're gonna feud for a little bit and then we're gonna become a team because she's done that so many times on the main roster, and it's just like just let her loose, please.
Shayna Baszler, yeah. I honestly think her and Zoe Stark have the potential to be a great tag team.
Yeah,
Um
yeah. It's just
if
you
if
kind of get overloaded with the tag teams
No,
though,
no, I
but
agree with you. I know she can do some great things on her own as a singles competitor, but if last night with the tag team match that we saw was any indication of what they can do with these titles, I think like maybe Pure Fusion Collective as a tag team, Shayna and Zoe, they look like they have great chemistry together as a tag team, with like Zoe being kind of like the hybrid and Shayna being like the killer. I feel like it could really work. Again, that is a great I'm probably gonna steal your answer because that is
mhm.
something where you could build a great storyline for Pure Fusion Collective to be a dangerous force to the tag team. Maybe I probably wouldn't have put the belts on Liv and Raquel if we had that in our disposal.
Yeah, unfortunately, but like we always say, hindsight's 2020, and it's a little tough to know then what we know now. It's like
Mm,
a little late, but
yeah. And for Bella's final question, she says, also speaking of stories, What has been one wrestler story that you think was cut short and why?
Oh,
I had to think about this one very hard, but only one stuck out in my mind, and that's a storyline that I always felt was the legs were cut out from it far too quickly, and that is the story of Nexus. I know you're
oh yeah,
I know you remember Nexus, and
yeah.
I thought the way Nexus debuted, where they kind of, for those that don't know, for like Bella, because this is before she became a wrestling fan, Nexus was a group of young and up and coming competitors that were just on a season of NXT when NXT was considered like a physical athletic competition slash wrestling show in its first season. What happens is after NXT was done, after that first season was done, it was like 12 of those guys, they all showed up on Raw and started complete chaos. They started attacking the referees, the cameramen, the announcers, the wrestlers in the main event that night on Raw, and they caused complete chaos to the point where, as a viewer, I'm sitting at home going, is this part of the show or is this
Yeah.
real? And that's what made me buy into the group that ended up taking over being known as Nexus. However, this was at the time where John Cena was at the peak of his career, you
Yeah.
know, and they instantly fed the leader of Nexus, Wade Barrett, to John Cena. And in wrestling, when you're as big as John Cena, you can't be beat. So
Yeah.
what happens is they had this giant thing with Nexus that was scary and it was cool and it was great, and they automatically fed the leader of Nexus to John Cena, and he's gonna lose.
Yeah.
Remember, he lost in that tables, ladders, and chairs match where John yanked down that row of
Uh-huh.
chairs and they all came crashing down on top of Wade Barrett. And that was effectively like after that, Nexus wasn't as big and dominant and scary anymore because they got vanquished by the big John Cena.
Yep.
So I feel like that story was one that was kind of, the legs got kind of cut out from underneath and it kind of stunk.
Yeah, that's a good one. I honestly thought you were gonna say what I'm gonna say, but that the Nexus one's a good one too. I think the story that maybe not so much got cut short. I feel like this story could have had more legs to it, but it was more or less, I think, why I'm saying it the way it was cut short was kind of
Ooh, the
the
way
issue
was
here.
cool.
And but well, that was a good one too. But now my actual answer was I feel like Kofi Mania.
Ooh,
That ending
yeah. Oh,
just
yeah. Why? You see, you brought up that was a PTSG trigger right
yeah,
there.
see, exactly, and that's exactly my point because it's just like it was a feel good moment. Yes, was Kofi ever destined to have a record breaking kind of title run? No, he wasn't. It's
hmm
like that's just being realistic. However, he had more to give than than they gave him, and just the way it ended too was just bullshit. Like it's
Right.
just call a spade a spade. It was absolute fucking bullshit just to have him get completely just obliterated by Lesnar
Yeah.
for
In
whatever
9 seconds.
reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and for Bella, for context, because again, this was before your time as a wrestling fan. Kofi Kingston was seemingly plucked out of nothing to be automatically thrusted into this main event situation
The
where,
people's champion, pretty much.
yeah, yeah, like it was one of those things where like, okay, we need somebody to fill in for an injured wrestler, might as well put Kofi in there, and the fans were like, yes, Kofi, and they started pushing Kofi and pushing Kofi and pushing Kofi, and they even talked about it on Raw, like when Jay Uso had that little back and forth with New Day backstage, and they were like, remember, Kofi Mania wouldn't have happened if the Usos didn't forfeit in that gauntlet match,
Yeah.
which was a big moment when they were like, they're just abusing Kofi right now. We're not going to take a part of that. I mean, I wish there was a way I could do like a compilation and go back and watch that stuff because it was dynamic stuff, Kofi Mania. But then, like you said, you want to talk about cutting a story short.
Mm-mm.
It took 9 seconds for Kofi to lose the world championship to Brock Lesnar. Almost the same sort of situation where it was just fed to an unstoppable monster, much like Cena. There was not much that you could do there.
Yeah, and it was a shame too because he had more than earned it, and
Yeah.
just yeah,
Yeah. Excellent questions, Bella. Thank you so
Yes.
much for sending in your questions. Really, I had to think about these all day. Like I
Yeah.
literally had to think about these all day because I wanted to deliver a great answer. But these were great questions. All of the questions from Jeff, Mike, and your mom and Bella, all great questions tonight. I believe we have no more questions left to answer. Do
No, I think we got them all.
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, you have our predictions for Elimination Chamber. We talked about some AEW stuff. We talked about WWE some more. Another fantastic episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. So all you have to do is find it in your search engine, Ringside Rundown podcast, whether you use Spotify, Apple, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, it's available. Hit that follow or subscribe button. If not, contact us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Ringside Rundown. Shoot us a DM. Let us know what platform you use, and we will give you a link to that platform on a silver platter. But the caveat is you have to give us back the silver platter, or else Shay's mom, she owns the silver platter. She knows like 10th degree black belt jujitsu, and
Yeah.
she'll hit you with a karate chop to the neck that'll take you completely out.
Can't confirm. I can't
Yeah,
confirm.
yeah. Shay's felt the karate chop of death. You
Yes, I
know,
have. It's like I don't wish that on anybody.
so make sure if we give you that silver platter, you give it to us back. But make sure you also follow along and subscribe. Like I said, we're available on social media: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown. We're also available where you can listen to the podcast as well on YouTube and all the short form content at Ringside Run Pod. Also available on TikTok, Ringside underscore Rundown. Oh my God. We also do live streaming for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Collision, and WWE PLEs over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Come join me in chat. We have a good time. We make shitty jokes. They scare me with jump scare noises.
Uh-huh.
I have animations. It's crazy what these people got me doing. Now we have championship belts in Discord. It's a good time. So come join me, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShaileneHickson21, screaming about all the things. I got some stuff going on. I got my Halsey. I got my Halsey tickets. We
I
talked
saw
about
that
that.
you got
Yeah.
both. You got both of them.
Yes, I did, and spent
You
a lot
got
less
both of them.
money than I thought I was going to. So it's best case
Let's
scenario.
go.
All
Let's
right, like,
go.
and I'll take it, especially since rent is due this week. So kind of need that money.
That's
But
it.
yeah. So I'll be screaming about all the things. So
There you go. There you go. Next week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Elimination Chamber, giving our match ratings, and also we have to talk about AEW Revolution,
yeah,
which is going to be happening next weekend as well on pay-per-view. So we already have our next show planned out. Is going to be reviewing Elimination Chamber and predicting AEW Revolution. Hopefully you guys get excited for that. But I think we're all done here, Shay. What do you think?
yeah. I think we've done it all. We've done it all.
We've
Said
done
it all.
There's nothing more for us to do. So, in that case, for Shay Hickson, my name is Eric Vasquez. Thank you for joining us on the Ringside Rundown podcast, and we'll see you next week.
See you later, guys.